We've all been there, whether we're at the office surrounded by colleagues who always seem busy or students in the library trying to focus on studying. Procrastination affects us all. The deadline is approaching, the to-do list is getting longer, and yet we find ourselves strangely drawn to organizing our sock drawer. It's like our minds are looking for any excuse to avoid important tasks, or we suddenly become fascinated by the history of paper clips. We get lost in insignificant details just to avoid real work. Procrastination, that universal human experience, has a unique talent for derailing even the most well-laid plans. It makes us feel frustrated and overwhelmed, and the to-do list seems to grow exponentially. It is the art of delaying, postponing, and generally avoiding anything that requires effort, especially when something more enjoyable or seemingly less daunting is at hand. We find excuses and justifications for not starting what needs to be done. From students cramming for exams at the last minute, trying to squeeze weeks of studying into a few hours, to professionals who postpone crucial projects until the 11th hour, procrastination knows no bounds. It is a ubiquitous problem that affects all areas of our lives. We tell ourselves that we work best under pressure, that we'll get to it later, but deep down we know it's a recipe for stress, anxiety, and often mediocre results. This self-imposed pressure can take a toll on our mental and physical health. The good news is that procrastination is not an insurmountable curse. We can learn to manage and overcome it. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken with awareness, understanding, and a good dose of willpower. By identifying the causes of procrastination and implementing effective strategies, we can transform this negative habit into a positive one. In the following sections, we will delve into the psychology behind procrastination, understand why we do it and how it affects us. We will explore practical strategies to overcome it, from time management techniques to methods for increasing motivation. And we will discover how to unleash our productivity and achieve our goals. We will learn how to organize ourselves better and maintain focus in the long run. It's time to break free from the chains of procrastination and step into a world of fulfillment and satisfaction. Let's take responsibility for our time and enjoy the success we deserve. To defeat procrastination, we must first understand the enemy. Procrastination is not just a simple delay of tasks, but a complex phenomenon that affects our daily lives. Why do we willingly subject ourselves to this cycle of stress and guilt? It's a question many of us ask ourselves, but the answer isn't always obvious. The answer lies in the complex interplay between emotions, motivations, and that little voice inside us that constantly seeks comfort and pleasure. This voice urges us to choose the easier path, even if we know it's not the best choice in the long run. One major culprit is our brain's ingrained preference for instant gratification. Our brains are wired to seek quick rewards, which makes it challenging to focus on tasks that require time and effort. We are naturally drawn to activities that offer immediate rewards, even if they are small and fleeting. These activities provide us with a temporary escape from our stress and responsibilities. Tackling a difficult task, on the other hand, often involves discomfort, effort, and delayed gratification. This can seem daunting and make us avoid important tasks. Our brains, wired for survival and efficiency, tend to prioritize the easier, more pleasurable path, even if it ultimately leads to more stress down the road. Choosing the easy path may seem like a quick fix, but in the long run it can negatively impact us. Fear is another powerful motivator behind procrastination. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or even fear of success can paralyze us and prevent us from taking action. We might procrastinate because we are afraid of failing, afraid of succeeding, or afraid of not being good enough. These fears can make us avoid tasks that trigger anxiety, or simply afraid of the work itself. Work can seem overwhelming and difficult, making us avoid it. This fear can manifest as perfectionism, self-doubt, or an overwhelming feeling of not being equipped to handle the task. Perfectionism can make us procrastinate because we are afraid of making mistakes, or an overwhelming feeling of not being equipped to handle the task. This feeling of inadequacy can prevent us from getting started. Whatever the reason, fear can paralyze us into inaction, causing us to avoid the source of our anxiety altogether. Understanding these mechanisms can help us find effective strategies to overcome procrastination and achieve our goals. Imagine our brain as a fantastical landscape, a realm full of mysteries and strange creatures. In this landscape lives the instant gratification monkey, a mischievous creature driven by its insatiable desire for immediate pleasure. This monkey is always on the lookout for its next distraction. This monkey hates anything that seems difficult, boring, or even slightly demanding. Any activity that requires effort or concentration is immediately avoided. It would much rather spend its time indulging in distractions, seeking instant rewards, and generally avoiding anything remotely resembling work. Whether it's video games, social media, or any other form of entertainment, the monkey is always there, ready to divert our attention. When we are faced with a task that requires effort, the instant gratification monkey springs into action, hijacking our rational thoughts and steering us towards more pleasurable activities. It knows exactly how to make us feel good in the short term, even if it means compromising our long-term goals. Suddenly, checking social media seems infinitely more appealing than writing that report, and every phone notification becomes a perfect excuse to postpone work. Binge-watching our favorite show becomes a priority over studying for that exam. The monkey makes us believe we have all the time in the world and can put off important tasks without consequences. The instant gratification monkey thrives on procrastination, feeding its desire for immediate rewards and avoiding anything that disturbs its comfortable existence. It feeds on every moment of procrastination, growing stronger and stronger. But as tempting as it may be to give in to the monkey's whims, we must remember that we are not slaves to our impulses. We have the ability to resist temptations and focus on what truly matters. We have the power to tame the monkey and regain control of our actions. Through discipline and willpower, we can transform our mental landscape into a place of productivity and personal fulfillment. Now, while the instant gratification monkey might seem like the main antagonist in our procrastination saga, there's another character lurking in the shadows, the panic monster. This terrifying creature represents the overwhelming feeling of dread and urgency that arises when we've taken procrastination to the extreme. The panic monster sleeps soundly most of the time, content to let the instant gratification monkey wreak havoc. But when a deadline looms, or the consequences of our inaction become too great to ignore, the panic monster awakens with a jolt. It kicks the instant gratification monkey overboard, forcing us into a frenzy of last-minute activity. While the panic monster's intervention might seem helpful in the short term, it's not a sustainable solution. Working under the pressure of the panic monster leads to stress, burnout, and often mediocre results. The key to conquering procrastination lies in finding a balance between these two extremes, taming the instant gratification monkey while keeping the panic monster at bay. All right. Now that we've met the panic monster and understand its role in the procrastination cycle, it's time to see how we can escape this vicious cycle and form productive habits. One effective strategy is to focus on small wins. Small wins are manageable tasks that give us a sense of accomplishment and keep us going. On their own, they may seem insignificant, but together they build a solid foundation of progress and confidence. For example, instead of aiming to write an entire report in one go, let's break it down into smaller sections. We start with an outline, then move on to writing the introduction and so on. Each completed section is a small victory that propels us forward. Another effective technique is the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This prevents the accumulation of small tasks that can become overwhelming. Remember, the goal is to create a positive feedback loop. Each small win releases dopamine, reinforcing the habit of taking action and making it easier to tackle larger tasks over time. In conclusion, overcoming procrastination is a journey that requires understanding its roots and implementing effective strategies. The key is to start with small steps and be consistent. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your journey to productivity.